true to you is not about being perfect. It's about being authentic. It's about being okay with the good, bad, and ugly. To accept those things about ourselves that we can't change, and those things that need to be changed, we put on our big girl panties and do the work. Be true to you is about being real with God, being real with self, so we can be true to you. Be true to you is not about competing with one another. We're about complementing one another. Being real with self, so we can be true to you. Be true to you. Hey, what's up, world? It's me, your girl, Angela. Welcome to the Be True to You Talk Show. You know what to do. Go ahead, like, share, and comment. Share. Invite your sister, your brother, your auntie, your cousin, your mama. You know, everybody want to be a part of the Be True to You Talk Show audience. You are my audience, and I am so grateful for you guys. Stand tuned with us today. Uh, FYI, ahead of time, the internet is not working that great. So if it's buffing, stay tuned. Don't click off. Don't give up. Just know that we are still here. With that being said, I have a special guest. I've known her probably ever since I've been doing hair. I met her years ago at the Oakland Park Flea Market. I can't believe I worked there. I did. I worked there for over for 7 years. Nevertheless, it's not about me. So today I am going to introduce to you someone who I believe has a story to share that will encourage someone, will motivate you to let you know there is purpose behind everything that you're going through. And so, with that being said, please welcome our special guest, Tracy Wilkinson. Ooh, 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 Tracy,
Oh,
Oh,
you
sorry,
a
my
whole
bad.
hype crew. Okay, no
Hey,
problem. I'm
Tracy.
good. Hey, Angie.
How you doing today?
I'm well. I'm well.
Y'all, okay, go ahead and make sure you're inviting your friends. Let me tag some people while I'm asking you to tag. I'm gonna tag. And so we're excited. Are you excited, Tracy?
I am.
I want to tell you thank you for sharing your story with the Be True to You talk show platform. Hey, Terry. Want to make sure my mom always be like, let me know, don't let me miss it. So let me tag her in as well. So with that being done, now we're ready. Let's get into this here conversation with two old friends.
Yes.
And so life has been life. And first of
Yes.
all, before we dive into it, please introduce yourself to our Be True to You talk show host, co-host rather.
My name is Tracy Wilkerson, and as Angela said, we've been friends for over 25 years. No, 30 years, I think. Almost 30 years.
It's been a long
Yeah,
time.
it's been a long time. Just know, long time. And I'm a native right here, Fort Lauderdale, born and reared, Dillard High, grade 88. Sorry, rest of the Dillard classes, but yes, grade 88. I'm an entrepreneur, several businesses under my belt, and just enjoying life. So that's just baby of 6, spoiled brat, and loved every minute of it.
Baby of 6.
Yes,
I'm the
ma'am.
baby out of 5.
I'm the baby of 6. I'm number
Okay.
6 of 6.
Okay.
Yes.
You have been an entrepreneur because when I met you 30 some years ago,
Mhm.
and really because my son was probably like 1 or 2,
Mhm.
he's 34. So yeah,
30 years.
you had your own business at that time. You
Yes.
own your own nail salon,
Nail
correct?
salon with 11 employees. Well, 10, including me, 11. 11
You don't do
stations.
nails anymore, do you?
No, not at all.
You just
Not
got of
at
it.
all.
Okay.
Yeah. I do children now. Children and food. Those are
Okay.
my two things now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do know that you one time you hosted events,
Yes.
right?
In my home, I had what was called the Party House in Plantation. Yeah, I
Mhm.
did that for 4 years.
Okay.
Very successful, except for a neighbor across the street kept calling code enforcement on me, so we had to stop. But we had a ball in the midst of it.
Okay. And so when it come down to hard working, you know that when it come down to starting your own business, you know how to do those
Yes.
things. You're now I'm trying not to dive into it so early, but I know that we go through things in life, right? And as we go through things in life, it molds us to be the people or the person that we become.
Mhm.
And so I'm sure you've experienced some things that your journey has created the Tracy that we now know.
Definitely.
And so you are mother of 2?
2 now. Yes.
Yeah. So you had 2 boys?
No, 2 girls.
2 girls.
And then the son.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's probably really why we're here. We're here to talk about one of your sons.
My son. Only
Okay, so
son.
oh,
And the baby.
okay. Before we do that, let's give some kudos to the daughters
Yes.
for
Those are
being
my
such
babies.
great, daughters and
They are.
supporters.
They are.
Yeah. So
They
tell them
are.
that you know.
Oh, they know their mama loved them.
Okay.
Girl.
Okay.
Child, they know. We were just together Easter and we had
Okay.
a ball. We went to my oldest daughter. Just purchased her own home. I'm so proud of her. Yeah,
Congratulations.
she's an engineer in Orlando. And so we always spend Easter with her.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, this started about 8 years ago. And at the time, she was living in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
7 of us in an
Wow.
apartment.
Mhm.
1 bedroom, 1 bath for 4 days, 3 days. We had a ball.
Listen, we already knew it. We was raised over
Yeah.
down 11th Avenue, honey.
Yeah.
My mom had 5 kids in 2-bedroom. One was for her, one was for the
kid.
girls,
Oh, and the
and the
boys
boys
slept in the living room.
in the layout.
Exactly.
Okay, so we know how to get it
Exactly.
together.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know. All of a sudden now we all bougie. Everybody need
Yeah.
their own room, their own house, but
That
we
part.
know how to collaborate
But
together and live
listen,
together.
God has blessed her. She went from a 1-bedroom,
Mhm.
1 bath. She now owns a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, swimming pool, the whole kit and caboodle. So
Well, congratulations, darling.
God has definitely blessed her.
And that's the only reason why we're still here.
Yes,
God.
definitely.
God is the reason why we're still here. I was thinking about you being an entrepreneur. Your family was owned their own business at times, right? So you
Yes.
you was not one of those that was taught get a good job
No,
and
ma'am.
work for somebody. You
No,
was
ma'am.
always taught.
If I work for you, be careful. I'm
Mhm.
only there to learn what I need to learn to go on and open my own business.
Okay.
Actually, my family's first business was right here, just east of you in the Lauderhill Mall,
Okay.
which was Wilkie's Men and Boys Clothing Store.
Okay.
And then we just matriculated through time and different businesses grew from there.
Mhm.
But yeah, I came from a family of entrepreneurs.
Awesome. And so let's dive into you are now a new author.
I am.
Congratulations.
I am. This is actually the second book, though. The first one I kept very quiet.
Did you publish it?
I did self-publish, but I
Okay.
think I'm going to go back and pull it out the stack
Mhm.
and really put it out there this time. And that book was Stupid Faith.
Okay, Stupid Faith.
Stupid Faith.
Okay, so we know that your foundation is Christ because your stupid faith, you're talking about but God and how you done
Yes.
that. And I always try to make it clear that this platform, we believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Y'all already know we
All
believe
that.
in the Genesis to the Revelation, okay?
Yeah.
And
And
so
back to Genesis sometimes.
hello. And so we do believe in Christ and we truly understand that it's faith that's keeping us and bringing us through some of these trials and tribulations that we
Yes.
experience in life.
Definitely.
And so I'm an author too. I wrote a book about 10 years ago. And I keep saying sometime I'm going to bring that book back out every now and then. But
Mhm.
sometimes you feel like, I moved past some things that was in the book. So
Mhm.
I don't try to, regurgitate it. So,
Right.
move forward. So let's talk about your book that you have now, Tracy. Tell us the title.
The Journey.
The Journey.
Anything but a game.
Anything but
A game.
a game.
Exactly.
Okay. And so what is this book about?
Well, it's actually about my son's life. God gave me the title and had to be 2013. And
So
that's
you've had
all
the
God
title
gave
for
me.
over 11 years ago. 2013 is
Yeah.
24. So
Yeah.
11 years, and you just knew that you knew it was going to be a book. That title was going to be a book.
Yes.
Okay.
God told me it was a book.
Mm-hmm.
He said the title is The Journey, Anything But a Game. And that's all stayed on the zip drive for 9.5 years.
Wow.
That was it. Never said anything about it. He didn't say anything to me, and I
Mhm.
didn't say nothing to him.
Mhm.
And yeah, we were good.
Okay. So what's The Journey? Anything but a game? Why? And then I saw the cover in you have on a jersey and a football. Tell us about it.
Well, the journey is about my son's life.
Mhm.
My baby and my only son, Samuel Jonathan Bruce Jr., who I was blessed with August 1997, and was a phenomenal child from the beginning. Didn't realize the magnitude of how phenomenal he was
Mhm.
until April 28th, 2022, at 11:10 a.m. when he took his last breath.
Oh, so this is recently.
Recent.
2022. It's only been 2 years.
April 28th this year will be 2 years.
Oh, okay. My
Yeah.
condolences. I don't know why I thought it was
Longer ago?
longer than that.
No, 2 years.
Okay.
2 years. Yeah.
And so, as a mother,
Mhm.
losing your son, and now you have a book about his life.
Yes.
Okay, so what is it that you want people to gravitate to from this book, this story that you're telling? From a mother, because you said it's about his life.
From my standpoint.
So it's
right.
from a mother's point of
Right,
view.
right.
Correct.
My son was a phenomenal athlete from the South Florida area.
Mhm.
born and reared right off Sistrunk,
Mhm.
20th Avenue, where I was born and reared.
Mhm.
Matriculated through sports. We knew he was special early
So
because
he played pro football?
he did not make it to, well, he did play indoor league, so I
Okay.
guess you can consider him a professional football player.
Okay.
But he was one of the best that's ever done it, and I'm not just saying that because he's my son.
Mhm.
He's one of the best that's ever done it. And if you think
Period.
I'm playing, period, like the kid, like my grandma
Like-
would say, period, poo.
And you stand no business with
And
that.
I told 10 toes down. But yes, he was actually showed little glimmers early in life. You know, you could see little sparks of different things. And of course, my mom always used to say, vision is 20/20 in hindsight. So when I look back at it now, I see that what those glimmers were all about that I saw.
Mhm.
But he really started separating from the pack at about 6th grade. You could really see some difference in him where the game was concerned. He played football, basketball, and ran track.
Okay.
But football was his first love.
Mhm.
And so, you know, he really excelled at football.
Mhm.
But he was a very special child, like I said from the beginning. Samuel, as I told the news reporter when they came to talk to me right after he passed, was as electrifying off the football field as he was on. He was just a very exceptional and special child. He was Nike's muse. Let's back up. Let me start with Optimus League. He went through Optimus League, played at Lauderdale Lakes. Then he went to Plantation in the 6th grade. He broke the park record of 26 touchdowns, which I believe still stands to this day.
Okay.
From there, he went to, he didn't play 1 year. Moms, dads, because of grades.
Mhm.
After he broke the park record of 26 touchdowns, he went on what I call the mommy suspension
Mhm.
because he brought me a D home from school.
Mhm.
And my kids know the rule in my house: no D's, no F's, no U's in conduct, and I better not get too many phone calls from a teacher.
Mhm.
And because he broke that rule, he did not play his 7th grade year Optimus League. And every game, I gave him $10 and dropped his butt off the plantation, told him, watch your friends play football. I
Good.
felt that was more punishment than anything I could have ever done to him.
I'm sure.
But it builds character,
Mhm.
just like it does with us in life. We go through afflictions, it builds character. And then he moved on to Lauderhill Lions, a 135-pound team, which was exceptional. That was a team, that Optimus League team could have beat probably most high school teams. They were very good.
Mhm.
And then he went from there, heavily sought out by Tri-County area. I even talk about in the book where a school called me from Palm Beach, had already figured out how to get him to school and home every day.
Mhm.
I was not putting my baby on no tri-rail every day, so that wasn't happening. But it was flattering
Mhm.
as a parent to know that school would go that far to have your child there.
Mhm.
But he ended up at University School, phenomenal school. Most people don't even know it exists. It's part of Nova University. Great school, very small, very quaint, private, but exceptional education. He did very well there. And then something happened his sophomore year. This is when God gave me the title to the book, when I found out how political football really is, even on that level. And we got an email the day school closed for the Christmas break at about 4:30, stating that as of January 1st, the very next year, I'm talking about 17 days later, that they were no longer going to honor scholarships, which meant take your inner city kid and take them somewhere else to school.
Mhm.
And we did just that. So he ended up at St. Thomas.
Mhm.
Be that as it may, everybody knows St. Thomas is a powerhouse.
Mhm.
Was a powerhouse before he got there, and it's a powerhouse after he's gone.
Most definitely.
But at an age of about 8 or 9, his uncle Joseph played for St. Thomas, and he would drag my sister to the games even in the rain. I wasn't doing that. That's auntie job. Mama's not doing that. And he had been a Raider in his heart since then. He loved St. Thomas. And so he went to St. Thomas. I got a call on a Friday in January, his junior year, from the athletic director stating that he needed to see me Saturday morning. I'm like, tomorrow morning? He was like, yeah. Sam, what did you do? Nothing. Sam, what did you do? Nothing. Well, be that as it may, it was actually a very pleasant visit. It was placed in my hand a letter from Nike that he was Nike's muse his senior year.
Okay.
So of all the tens of thousands of football players, seniors that year, he was the athlete that Nike chose to follow the end of his junior year through his senior year, which was a phenomenal honor. So he did that. And then he was, of course, heavily recruited over 50 D1 colleges, wanted to stay home, went to University of Miami, did not play a down at UM because he went during the changing of the guards from Al Golden to Mark Rich, coming off of sanctions, different situations. Sam went down to University of Miami acting like Sam. And one thing about me, I'm going to tell the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And never got a chance to play a down for University of Miami after being their number one recruit. Different breaking rules, league, school rules, team rules, so on and so forth. And the straw that broke the camel's back was one night, the week that he was actually supposed to be activated, he went and played basketball after practice and broke his leg.
Wow.
So that was that. That was the nail in the coffin for University of Miami. He had to be the quickest player in and out the back, though.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just a series of things. And he left there. He, again, now the recruiting process all over again. Schools calling from all over the country because now they feel like they got a shot at a kid that they ordinarily wouldn't have. He went to Mississippi, played there. Well, he was there for a year. Did not play there because when he broke his leg, it didn't heal right. So they had to go back in and break it again. So that season was a wash. And then from there, he went to Southeastern for a semester. And then to XFL, IFL, Indoor Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Played there a few games, and then COVID happened. So it just was a series of every time he thought he saw the light at the end of the tunnel, something else happened.
That's true.
And ultimately, he got sick from working from his job. He worked for a pest control company, which led to his demise. He left home for work healthy Wednesday morning, and by Thursday morning, he was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a journey.
Mm-hmm.
But God literally gave me the title of the book during that sophomore year when he was released, the players were released as a group from university school.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I found out how political football can really be.
What do you mean by that?
It's a lot of inner workings, even in high school ball now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten even worse now with IFL, with this, not IFL, what is it called? Oh my God. NIL, name, image, likeness.
So who can't help you is me.
Oh, I got it. I know
absolutely nothing about sports.
Name, image, likeness, where they now can pay these players at a young age. So it's gotten to be even, the waters have gotten even muddier.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had me laughing the other day. They said, oh boy, if Sam was playing ball when NIL was if NIL was in effect when Sam was playing, I said I had to kill him. Because he didn't have any money and he was arrogant and out of control. Could you imagine if this little 18, 19-year-old had, $400,000-$500,000 in the bank? I'd have had to kill him.
Mm-hmm. Where did he get it from?
His mama.
I thought so.
Ain't no secret. I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, but definitely. He get it from his mom. But yeah.
And so
definitely.
Let's talk about why did you feel or how did you feel led to write the book about his life? What brought this on? You said God gave it to you 11 years ago.
Yeah.
There was something that happened. Was it something that was downloaded in you, something that triggered for God to give you the title, The Journey is Anything But a Game?
Well, like I said, the title came from when the group was released from university, when the Inner City Kids as a group was released from university school.
Mm-hmm.
It was that same week that God gave me that title.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking from my kitchen to my room, and I heard it just as clear as you and I are talking.
Mm-hmm.
The title, The Journey, Anything But a Game. And I'm like, okay. So I just put it on the zip drive because I'm a journaler. Mm-hmm. I journal everything. So I just put it on the zip drive and left it. And then when Sam passed, God didn't say one word for 11 years. And when Sam passed, one day I was sitting in my room and God said, now it's time to write the book. And I said to God, not right now. Not doing it. Right now is not the time. Give me a minute. Mm-hmm. And he did. So gracious, God. That's God. He's a gentleman. And it's so funny. I was taking a class one night at ELC for childcare because that's what I do full time. Mm-hmm. And the class was interesting to most people, but I've been in the business for 25 years. I could have taught the class. So I was a little bored. I'm not going to fab. And God told me to say, pull out your journal. And I pull it out, and he gave me all 16 titles to every chapter while I was sitting in that class.
Wow.
And when I got in the car on the ride home, I said, okay, God, I'm ready to write the book. Mm-hmm. But it was 15 months later. Mm-hmm. I needed that time to heal, absorb, deal with, face reality, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, as a mother, I'm sure you had to deal with your grief, your anger, maybe as for some form of resentment, as far as him being such a awesome person and snatched away so early, feeling like it can be, it could have been prevented, although we know that we have appointed time,
Mhm.
so.
But can I be honest with you? I went right to therapy. Sam passed April 28th. We celebrated his life May 7th. May 14th, I was sitting on the couch.
And that is a good thing too, because for years, we didn't have black people didn't go to therapy. You pray
Girl,
about it.
telling
You better
nobody
not
my
be depressed.
business.
What's happening in our house,
Stay in
in
our house. There it is.
Whatever you going through, just tell it to God. And
Mhm.
so kudos to knowing that therapy is necessary. And I'm so glad a lot of us are now are gravitating to that thing so we can be whole as adults.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did. I went right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I did about a 4 or 5 month stint. Every Saturday, 2:00, I was sitting on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the best decision I could have made. But Angie, I have to be honest with you. If there's such a thing to be prepared for a child to be returned to God, God had me prepared.
Really? Why'd you say that?
Just looking at my life, just looking at what I went through the last 2 years of his life. A good friend that we share in common, Lisa Ellison, I reached out to her one day and I was a little agitated, aggravated, frustrated. I said, Lisa, how about in my prayer time, God told me I had to give Sam back to him. I said, I gave Sam back to God when he was born.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing I did, was dedicate him back to Sam. I was like, Samuel, you got this name, going back to God. But he was telling me to release Sam, and I didn't understand why until April 28th.
Yeah, because I'm sure I've had this same conversation with the Papa. I call him Papa. About my oldest son, because he used to run the streets. He didn't come from the hood, but he always gravitated to the hood.
That's Sam.
He wanted to live the gangster life. And I remember one time I feel like it was God telling me to go in there and ask him, how do you want me to bury you?
Oh, Jesus.
Because the way you're living is what I'm going to have to do. And so I say that to say God told me he was going to give him back to me. But when he told me that he was giving him back to me, meaning he was going to turn him back over to who he was created to be. He no longer runs the street. It took years, but I just kept holding on to that word. He has his own company. He has his own job. He's standing on his own. So to hear, give him back to you, give Sam back to God, I'm sure you didn't think giving him back to you meaning that he was going to be taken.
Ma'am.
You knew?
No, ma'am.
Exactly.
No,
yeah.
ma'am. That was I was just appalled that God even said to me, you got to give Sam back to me. I'm like, God, I gave Sam to you. Not realizing that was a double entendre. God was telling me to give Sam back to him because he knew he was coming back to get him. I had to turn him loose. And it was just a series of things. And I get into it in the book, in the chapter about God preparing me. The pandemic hit. We were in such a sense of uncertainty. I was actually in Texas to see his first game in IFL, my sister, myself, and his older sister, Kristen, when the pandemic was declared. And it was so funny because when we left, they were kind of talking about it when we flew out that morning, March 13th, I think it was, that Thursday. And when we flew out, they were talking about the pandemic and da-da-da. And honey, by the time we landed 2 hours later, they were shutting everything down. No March Madness. The golf tournament was canceled. I was like, well, how long were we in the air? Because we left and they were talking about it. We landed and y'all done shut the whole world down. I mean, like, we went to, I remember, never forget, we were in Texas and we took him to a Walmart. There was no toilet paper. There was no bleach. Water. There was no water. It looked like a war zone in that place. And I'm like, well, y'all, were we in the air more than 2 hours? Because the whole world has changed in literally 2 hours. So during the pandemic, at that time I was running a preschool and private school. And when the pandemic was declared, we were in Texas. And God, at the time, my business partner was like, oh, we got to close the school, da-da-da. We don't know what's going on. And I go to God. I don't just do what everybody else doing. Because he might have me go a different way. And God did. God didn't tell me to close the school. He said, keep the school open, operate it like this, do that. And that's what I did. But I was glad I was in a place away from home so I could hear God clearly. I wasn't in the day-to-day rigmarole. And that started it. And then from then, with the pandemic, with us just doing minimal, no hanging out, going to work, coming home, it gave me a lot of time with God, a lot of downtime to just listen. And a pastor that I will forever be grateful to, who actually was introduced to by Sam through my daughter because he taught a series called Daddy Issues. which deals with a lot of kids and their parents, especially boys. Michael Todd, I think he's in Oklahoma. I'm sure of it. He's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he taught 2 series, one during the pandemic and one after, but prior to Sam's passing, that really spoke to my heart. And one was Anchored. That was the word for his church, I believe, for the year of 2022, the 2021, the year before Sam passed. And in Anchored, he talked about, which I already knew about. That's so crazy. And that's what I love about the word. It will find you wherever you are. You can learn the same thing over that you learned 10 years ago, and it means something totally different to you now because you're in a different space and a different dispensation in your life. And that series he taught so in depth, I believe about 8 or 10 weeks, about being anchored to God, regardless to what goes on in your life. You have to stay anchored. And the other one that he taught that was phenomenal for me was called Secure the Bag. And, right away we think Secure the Bag, we think of Rick Ross. We think about this right here. That's not what he was talking about. He was talking about how everything belongs to God. And all he does is let us hold it. Houses, cars, land, husbands, wives, children, everything belongs to God. So by me doing such deep and intensive study in those 2 topics, along with God telling me to give Sam back to him, along with, I'm gonna make y'all laugh about this one. I was in Aldo one day shopping, looking for a pair of shoes. Y'all got more pair of shoes than we got feet in Fort Lauderdale. And it was so clear, just like you and I are sitting here conversing, I heard God say, do you really need another pair of shoes? It was so audible, Angie, that I turned around and looked. And when nobody standing behind me, the 2 salesmen were behind the counter. And I'm still, loving these shoes. And God said, do you really need another pair of shoes? Get out this store and start saving you some money. And I gave the lady the shoes back and I went home. And that night I sat down and put a budget together. And I started saving money. My god brother Linton always tell me, who I affectionately call Brubby, have an umbrella. It's going to rain one day. I went to our mutual friend Lisa a year and a half before Sam passed. Got all of our legal paperwork in order. Yes, double life insurance. It's like literally God took me step by step. And people even look at me today, people that I run across that watch me walk through this, that know how much I love that little boy and know I should have been crazy, was like, I just can't believe that you walked through that like you did. I did because God had me prepared. And I tell people all the time, it's different than being ready and being prepared. God had me prepared.
And so you didn't know, you can say he had you prepared now, looking back.
I had no idea then. Well, I wanted them beige shoes. They was cute too. They was nude. They matched my skin color. But yeah, you don't know. So I put money away. I had our insurance in place, which is another thing that we don't talk about. We're going to all leave here. I had a conversation with my aunt one day, and I was so glad I had that conversation. I went to notarize some papers for her, and she was talking about how her and her husband, my auntie Jackie, had done pre-need. The next day, I called Rebecca at McWhite Funeral Home and made an appointment and went in and did my pre-need. I picked my own casket. I picked my own flowers, how many cars I need. All they need is me now. Now, I don't plan for it to be another 50 years. But it's done, and it's my wishes.
Right.
It takes all the guessing work out of what my children have to go through. But those are things that we don't do. We need to have those tough conversations.
Then again, that's something we as Black people, we don't talk about. We thinking every time you talk about it, it's bad luck. And I keep trying to tell you, we don't believe in luck. We believe in Jesus. Listen, I got it in my phone. I know what color I want you guys to wear. I know what I don't want you wasting money on, because it's not about that. But it's amazing, because we always say, we think that a child is supposed to bury the mother.
I always said that. I watched my mom bury my sister. My sister passed at 37 years old of melanoma. She forbade the doctor to tell my mom what was wrong with her until 5 weeks before she passed. And when she we knew she was in and out the hospital. She had these horrible headaches. And when the doctor asked her, said, "Do you want me to?" No. So finally, when she was about 2 weeks prior to her passing, when she still was verbal, my mom said to her, we call her Dee Dee, my mom called her Laverne. Laverne, why didn't you let the doctor tell me what was wrong with you? And my sister gave the most unselfish response. She said, I watched you stop your life with granddaddy when he had cancer. I watched you stop your life with daddy when he had cancer. And I watched you stop your life with Uncle Reuben when he had cancer. I wasn't going to make you stop your life. When it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go. And I thought that was the most selfless thing that I had ever heard in my life. Now, I'm sure my mom wasn't happy about it because she would have liked to spend those last days differently with her. But like I told my sister the day that Sam passed, that she tried to have a whole fit, because anybody who know my sister know that's Sam real mama.
Not
I'm his
you.
mother.
You just had him.
That's his mama. All I did was brought him in this world. And I told her, I say, Lynn, God is still God. And God is still on the throne. And it was so funny because I could hear them whispering, like we were at my sister-in-law's house, which is where we were the majority of the time after his passing. And I could hear them whispering, saying, y'all better watch him. Da, da, da. I told them, I said, y'all stop whispering about me. I'm good. This caught y'all by surprise. Because I had told Lisa, and she reminded me that day when she came to the house. She said, Tracy, you said something was getting ready to happen. You didn't know what it was, but you were ready.
Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, the Bible said that warning comes before destruction.
And a haughty spirit before a fall.
And all we have to do is listen. And if you listen, you know, you won't miss it. And then if you do miss it, it do come back to you like, you know what, God, you told me this.
You warned me.
You warned me about this. You tried to prepare me for this. And so, you know, we just have to keep pushing. And as far as your mother, listen, my mom getting mad if I go to the emergency room because I broke out with allergy, knowing that's my life. I'm broke out right now.
Right.
If I go to the emergency room and get medicine and she find out through my sisters that I went to the emergency room and didn't tell her, oh, she mad for 2 days.
Right.
She's so mad, she'll say, I thought I was your mama.
Right.
So I get it. I get how your mom must have felt to know that her daughter was passing. But again, we feel like we're not supposed to bury our children. Our children are not supposed to bury us.
Right. And getting back to that, I said that to say this. I watched my mom go through that grief, and my mom was strong. I'm tough. My mom was a different kind of tough. I watched her bury her mother, her brother, my sister, and then 19 months, 20 months later, my sister's oldest son, who my mom reared from almost birth, got killed on a motorcycle. And I watched my mom go through all this stuff, and she was such a soldier. But my sister and my nephew hit her different. I could see how it affected her emotionally, mentally. And I always said, and mind you, this was at the time, I didn't have Sam yet. I only had the 2 girls. They were 2 and 3, I believe. 1 and 2 when my sister passed. And I watched how that affected my mom. And I always said, God, we're not supposed to bury our children. Our children are supposed to stand over us. Not knowing that 26, 27 years later, because I hadn't had Sam yet, I was going to have to walk that same walk. And it's tough. It's tough. But when you have God and when you have a relationship and not just religious, you can get through it, because I got through it.
Do you feel like the experience that your mom went through and you watching her, do you feel like you drew some of your strength from her as well?
Definitely. And she on 19th and 31st and been out there a long time. And I still pull strength from that woman. She was a phenomenal woman. Phenomenal. Yeah, definitely. The strength came from mom, I'm sure.
And so, so let's speak to mothers that's out here who have sons and daughters who may hear a warning, overlook the warning, something that you may want to share with them that will help them understand, or like you said, and like I had to do, release them, right? Because sometimes I feel like sometimes we get in the way. Sometimes we become their God. Sometimes we try
They become our God.
Exactly, right? We're so busy living for them, or vice versa. They're so busy running to us that they don't run to God. So for those mothers who have someone probably experienced the same thing that you experienced, but they're not able to go on. They don't have the strength to move forward. You know, what would you tell them? How would you help them through this journey?
Only God. Only God. That's it. That's all I can tell you. Only God. I was blessed in very early in life at 17, I believe I was, when I first started dating my first husband. First husband, second husband, y'all pray for me. His grandmother and grandfather was so rooted and grounded in the word. And I was privy to some phenomenal foundation as far as the word was concerned. So my children were all born in the word. They were reared up in the word. So I had those years that I have under my wings that I can work with. But the beautiful thing I like about God, he meets you right where you are. 1, 51, 101, 9,001. All you have to do is surrender. And it's something about God. When you release to him, he's able to bring you to a place that you thought you would never be. Because mentally, I say to myself a lot of times, I can't believe I can even get up in the morning.
Mhm.
Because again, I have to go back to those people that truly know me. You were in the flea market with me when Sam was born. And when I went back to work when Sam was 8 weeks old, Sam had 11 mamas in the shop. And then when he wasn't in the shop, Miss Kim, the little Korean lady, crossed the hallway and I took his bassinet. He was a baby. When we were busy on Friday and Saturday, sometimes she would have Sam 5 and 6 hours. She'd come and get his bag with his Pampers and his bottles and whatever, and she took care of Sam all day. When he got older, Miss Lorraine would come steal him, the flea market manager. I mean, literally, it's amazing that we met in the flea market.
We did.
But Sam was a flea market baby. He'll walk around there to y'all when he started walking. I mean, he walked that flea market from the front door to the back door. But when you have God and you rear your children in the word, it makes such a difference of how things turn out. Like you said about your son. You knew eventually he was going to come around. But that's the hope that God gives us. And people have to understand that. It's just, he's just so awesome. It's just, sometimes you can't even put words to it. But what I would say to parents, mothers, fathers, whoever is going through something similar to what I've gone through, it was only God that got me through. Only God. I mean, that's the only recipe I can give them.
Right?
That's all I can tell them, Angie. God.
Yeah.
Because I know if it weren't for God, I'd probably be in Henderson Clinic right now or laying next to Sam. But I have 2 other daughters that I have to live for and I have to push through for. Those mornings and I have those mornings, I have those days. I have a friend that I can call her 2:00 in the morning and she is coming to see about me if I'm having a moment.
And see, I think that's what people may get misconception as far as because you feel like you was prepared, because God allowed you to put plans in motion. The pain is still there.
Definitely.
We still have those days where you feel like you can't get out of the bed, even knowing that God is God, because we're human, right? Knowing God, we still have emotion. Knowing God, we still feel the hurt and pain, even though we know that there's a God. That flesh still allow us or want us to go to that what if or why or how. And so I love the idea that you're truthful about, okay, yes, it was God that got me through it, but even with him getting me through it, I still struggle. Yeah.
I have, but the beautiful thing is it usually lasts maybe an hour or so and then it lifts and I can pull myself together and I have to go back to my dude, my favorite person in the Bible, David. It says when David's baby died,
3 days.
He went through his mourning process.
3 days.
And when they came to him and said the baby was gone, he got up. He washed himself, took off the grave clothes, and he went on with his life. And I have to say, I took a page out of David's book. I go through my moments. I go through my times. So, sometime it'll last a couple hours. I've had one day that was a very tough day for me. And that was New Year 2023. Because when Sam got sick initially in 2021, which a lot of people don't know, he initially got sick. He had his first episode in December 27th of 2021. I was in the gym 2 days after Christmas. And as soon as I stepped off the treadmill, I heard his name in my head, Sam. Okay. I kept on doing what I was doing, cleaning the machine off. As I got ready to grab my keys and retrieve my things to leave the gym, I heard it again, Sam. I said, that ain't in my head. That's God. And I called his phone immediately. And his friend answered the phone that rides in the truck with him. I said, hey, what Pop? He said, he under the wheel. I said, all right, tell him call me back. Hung the phone up. Went on about my business. About 20 minutes later, his best friend called. Auntie, you talked to Sam Job? No. Sam just had a seizure at work. I said, a seizure? Sam didn't have seizures. He said, I know, but he had a seizure at work. As I was speaking with him, somebody from Sam's job called me and told me what had happened. He was in the hospital in Palm Beach, da-da-da. I didn't call anybody. I got on the road and I went north. And all the way there, Angie, I had such a peace. When I tell you about the peace that surpasses all understanding, that was what I had. Got to the hospital, couldn't find Sam. No Sam Bruce here. What do you mean? They called me and said, we brought him to da-da-da. We went back and forth for about 10 minutes, only to discover that there was another JFK north, about 15 minutes up 95. I went to the first JFK that my GPS gave me. I called there. Yes, he's here. Spoke with the nurse. The nurse gave the phone to the doctor. Doctor told me that Sam was intubated. Get here as quickly as can, but be safe. We're about 10 minutes up the road. Got back on 95. I went up. And true enough, he had a series of seizures because of the Vicane poison from work. And he was on life support. He was intubated. And then the sweet nurse came out to get me. She was waiting for me actually in the emergency room when I got there because we're still in COVID then.
Mm-hmm.
And she took me in and she set me right outside the room where I could see what they were doing, but I,
Couldn't go
wasn't in their
in.
way.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like a scene from ER.
Mhm.
About 8 doctors and nurses. And I mean, they were working like little bees. Papers were all over the floor where they had ripped stuff open. They had cut his clothes off. They were on the floor. It was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had a peace. He stayed intubated in a coma for 3 days. He woke up December 31st, 2021. The nurse called me. No, we woke up the 30th, that Thursday. She called me. She said, "You want to hear your baby's voice?" And the nurses in ICU at JFK were phenomenal. They called me every shift to let me know what was going on with him because of COVID protocol. I couldn't go see him in ICU.
Right.
But they were phenomenal, Angie.
Mhm.
And that Thursday, she called me and she said, "You want to hear your baby's voice?" And feeble, Ma. I said, "What in the world? How are you?" "What happened to me? My whole body hurt." So because he had been in the intubated state for 3 days and just come out New Year's Eve, finally, they kept him for a day, one more day to watch him. Finally, New Year's Eve, they released him to go to a regular floor. So then I could see him. And I went up. Oh, let me back up. The first day, that day I got to the hospital, nobody was there but me because I hadn't called anybody yet because I didn't know what was going on. And I know there's going to have questions. The doctor said to me, "If he lived through the night, it'll be a miracle." And God told me, "You tell that doctor he'll live, he won't die." And I told the doctor just that. And he did just that.
Mm-hmm.
When he got to the regular floor on the 31st, the nurses called me. I went up to see him. He was in dialysis because of the series of seizures, it bothered his kidneys. And the doctor told me, he said, he's a healthy young man. In a month's time, 6 weeks, he'll be off dialysis because his body will right its wrong on its own. And the nurse said to me, she said, sweet little nurse, I can't remember her name. She said, "You want to stay the night with him?" I said, "I would love to." She said, "Well, we're going to shut this door and we don't know you in here.
Mm-hmm.
If you need something, just ring the bell. We'll come to you. Don't come in the hallway."
Mm-hmm.
That was the first New Year's that we brought in together, probably in about 10 years.
Wow.
So the reason that was New Year going into 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So my New Year going into 2023, that New Year's Eve was tough for me.
It had to be.
And I don't think my family even knew it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a series of crying spells, and I think I went through every emotion that you have during that death process. And that's probably was the toughest single day I've had in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me back to that day that I was able to spend such a momentous time with him. We brought the New Year in. We watched the ball drop. Mm-hmm. We hadn't done that in 10 years. And so for us to be able to do that, I thank the nurses for allowing me to have that. Because we hadn't done it in 10 years at least. I hadn't brought in the New Year's with him. So New Year 2023, New Year's Eve going into 2023 was really tough. But that was the only day that was really like the whole day was tough. Mm-hmm. I go through the hour and a half and I get okay. Mm-hmm. And then I'm good. And I hear him in my head say, "Boss lady, I got you." Because he called me boss lady. He called me boss lady because I was a boss, but he said he called me boss lady because I bossed him. But I don't care why he called me boss lady. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But that was the single toughest day that I've ever had. But outside of that, God has given me such a peace. Mm-hmm. And I had a question. He got sick about 7:30, 8 o'clock, April 27th. He didn't pass till the next day. Believe it or not, in true Sam Bruce fashion, he passed on the first day of the NFL draft. That was another wow factor for me because since Sam was in the 6th grade, we watched the NFL draft together every year. And one year the year he was in Mississippi, he wasn't home. We watched it together on the phone, all 3.5 hours of the first day. So for him to pass or transition the morning of the first day of the NFL draft, 2022, was so Sam Bruce. So Sam Bruce.
I want to ask, you said that it was because of his job. How did you know that?
Well, it was the amount of Vicane that was in his system. Okay. And that's what they spray in the house. It's when they fumigate. Okay. And he went to work for the company, I believe, in like May of 2021. moved up true fashion to his mama and daddy, because his dad is a hard worker too. Moved up the ranks to the point where by the end of the year, he had his own truck and his own crew.
Mhm.
So I think the constant exposure to that ultimately was his demise.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, Lee, I love, not love, but sometimes we always have that how or why, and when we know what happened, not that it's better,
Mhm.
but at least we know.
It gives you a
And
sense
such
of closure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
correct.
Mhm.
And so one thing I wanted to say to you, that I love the idea that you understand that it's okay to not be okay,
Oh yeah.
because not all the time we're gonna be okay, even though we accept the plans of God, the will of God. And even though we know that God is still in control, sometimes we are just not okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to let go and let God.
Mhm.
But I had a question, and I was like, okay, God, he got sick April 20 initially, December. He went through the 24 days he was in the hospital. When he got stable enough, I moved him from Palm Beach to here to HCA, University Hospital, which the staff was, to say they phenomenal was an understatement. They were great.
Mhm.
He did the last like 10 days there, and then he was released. And then he got back healthy. He did dialysis for about a month. They took him off dialysis, took the stent out, went back to working out. He was actually in the process of getting himself together to go back and try out for some teams again. And only question I had was, God, did he make it in?
Mhm.
Because all the churching, all the preaching, all the teaching, all the fussing,
Mhm.
did he truly hear me?
Mhm.
And more important, did he truly hear you?
Amen.
And when he came back around from that first stint, his life was such a drastic shift the last 4 months.
Mhm.
My sister said he would leave the house 3-4 days out of the week, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Unbeknownst to us, we later found out in conversation with different people after his transition, he was going to the beach.
Mhm.
That was his place of solace. That was his place he talked to God. And even my baby girl said that he did a video, a live, where he was on the beach and talking about the greatness of God.
Mhm.
Even the conversations we had after he got better, we made it a pact to meet at least once or twice a week, have lunch, dinner, something, just he and I, and talk. No phones, nobody else, just us.
Mhm.
And even in his conversation, he would call me and ask me stuff about the Bible. So I knew he was reading. I knew he was studying. But I still had that question.
Mhm.
God, did he make it?
Yeah.
And about a month and a half ago, and Sam, don't scare the dead people. Don't play with me. If you want to tell me something, go tell somebody else. They're going to come tell me. Don't play with dead folks. When you're gone, you're gone. I love you, but see you later. Bye. I'm sorry. That's one thing I don't do.
Mhm.
And I was just in twilight, just about to wake up. And I want to say I was in a nail salon, because that's where it felt like I was in the dream. And I felt somebody come. I could feel their presence at my peripheral. And when I turned around and looked, it was him. And he had on a crisp white shirt
Mhm.
and a tie. Sam didn't wear no tie. Sam wore a tie 3 times in his life. I can tell you when he wore a tie. But he was so clean cut and skin beautiful. And I looked at him and I said, Popty, because that's what I called him. I said I wasn't going to cry when I see you. And he never said anything. He just reached down and hugged me. And he squeezed me so tight, Angie.
Mhm.
But for some reason, my eyes stayed fixated on that white shirt he had on, like purity.
Mhm.
And he just backed up, and I sat up in the bed, and it was over.
Mhm.
And I want to believe with everything in me that was God telling me.
Mhm.
He made it in.
Mhm.
That shirt was pure as the driven snow, if there's such a thing. That was that white.
The driven snow, baby.
But my eyes kept staying on. For some reason, I saw him,
Mhm.
but I could tell in the dream my eyes was fixated on that crisp white shirt he had.
White snow. Amen. And so you wrote the book,
Mm-hmm.
Journeys, Anything But a Game.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about your son's life.
Uh-huh.
What is it that you want to linger with? What is it what legacy of Sam that you're preserving and want to be known by people as far as this book?
Ooh, that's a loaded question, Angie. That goes so many ways.
Okay.
Number one, Sam was such a giver, and anybody who knew him knew it. If he had 50 cents, you had a quarter. He had a huge heart, even from a child. I talk about it again in the book, his earlier years. We lived in the Northwest section, and we frequented the Walgreens on, I believe that's 4th Avenue or 7th Avenue in Broward. And it has always been less fortunate hanging out the door there since he was a little boy. And he would spot who he wanted to give money to when we walk in Walgreens. And by the time we got ready to walk out the door, he's gotten your $5. And I say, Sam, why you can't just give them $1? They can't go to Burger King and eat with no dollar. They need $5. They got to buy something to eat and something to drink. Like this was at 5 years old. Yeah, they got to have a whole meal. So that's one of the things that we're definitely doing to perpetuate his legacy. The anniversary of his passing, well, actually, we moved it to the last Friday of April, which will be next Friday, y'all. I'll put everything up on Facebook and Instagram and his page, of course. Last year, we fed the less fortunate. It was a team of about 20, 25 of us. We met, we packed 120 boxes. We went down to where we know that they are, and we donated the boxes, had phenomenal conversations. Some of those people, life is just lifing, and they ended up in the situation. Another one is another thing under the umbrella of the Samberghini 6 nonprofit that we formed is Six is Plan B. We call it Six is Plan B because Sam's number was 6. And what it is to assist premier athletes in looking at something else in their life that they're passionate about. Because we already know less than 1% of them, the sport of their choice come to fruition in their life.
Right.
So have something else that you can change gears and focus on so you don't get caught up in the shuffle, because that's what happened to a lot of them. We have been so supportive of parents and driven and pushing them in until they don't realize there's a life outside of football, basketball, baseball, track, whatever their sport, whatever it is. And that's for females and males. Because female sports are getting to be just as popular now as male sports. That's another thing that we have there. Also, education, helping parents matriculate through the system, even from Optimus League to high school, helping them with decision making, schools that are for their child. Like I said, I will forever love and be indebted to University School for the love and the support that we got from there. So those are some of the things that we're going to do, that we are doing to continue to perpetuate Sam's legacy.
What do you want them to get out of this book?
It's so funny that you asked that. I ran into a guy a couple of weeks ago. He actually came into a restaurant that I was in and had on a bowling shirt. And I said, and that's something else we do. We do a bowling tournament. We do the feeding that morning. And then last year we did the first annual Samberghini 6 bowling tournament. We do that evening, which we will be having, you guys, next Friday, the 26th at Spares. Again, I will post that on all pages. And we want everybody to come out. Our family sport is bowling. We started a tradition about maybe 2007, 2008, where we go bowling every Thanksgiving Eve. And that's our family time. And Sam and I were so competitive. My daughters and the rest of the family just go to go. If Sam bowl a strike, I bowl a strike. If Sam pick up a spare, I pick up the spare. We're very competitive. So we do the bowling tournament as well. And that's, again, another fundraiser to help do other things that we want to do as far as Sam is concerned. But my main focus for this, like I said, I met the guy bowling and he asked me himself, he said, what audience are you trying to reach? And when I looked at it, I couldn't do nothing but smile and thank God, because Angie, it reaches so many audiences. It's, how most books just focus or one stream.
Female.
No, this is children, because it talks about Sam's life as a young man coming through life. Athletes, young athletes, it speaks to them. It's definitely spiritual place. You listening to me keep saying God and Jesus. I don't know who he and him is. I say God and Jesus. So I can use this churches, that level, older people, because as parents, we need to know how to navigate through life. Just the way God strategically put this book together, it speaks to so many audiences. So I can't even say what audience it will reach, because it literally can reach pretty much anybody.
There's no limit.
There's no limit with this book.
So what is your foundation again, so we can make sure everybody can follow you?
Samberghini6.org.
One more time.
The webpage is Samberghini6.org, and the foundation is the Samberghini 6 Foundation.
Okay.
Samberghini 6 nonprofit. That's what it is. 501c3.
Say it again.
Samberghini 6 501c3.
Okay.
And that name came from a sports writer when he was in high school, was at a tournament, and a sports writer said, boy, you move like a Lamborghini, but with a Sam flair. So that's where Samberghini came from. Okay.
So also you have a book, you wrote a book. We talked about the book, but we didn't talk about you're having a book release. Let's talk about it. The date, the time, and the place.
The book release will be next Sunday. Book signing and release April 28th. at the Salad Boss on Sistrunk. It's in the bottom of the YMCA on the east side of the building. We'll be there from 1 to 4. And then we'll move over to Smitty's from 5 to 9.
Okay.
So it's kind of going to be an all-day thing.
And how do they register if they want to come?
Eventbrite.
Okay.
It's on Eventbrite. We're asking, you don't have to register, but we're asking to register just so we can kind of get an idea as far as numbers, about the amount of people to expect as far as food and preparation. But yeah, you definitely can go on Eventbrite, and as soon as you put in Samborghini, SAMBORGHINI number 6IX. But as soon as you put SAMBOR, it pops up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the books, we got the foundation down, we got the website down, we got the date of our book release. Is it anything you want to leave the audience?
I say this to a lot of his friends. I called one of them last week just about something in the book, wanted to make sure it was accurate. And poor baby, he just fell apart while we were talking. He was reading me some of the texts that were back and forth to Sam. And we have to understand, not just children, not just adults, we're not here for forever. Cherish every moment that you have, because none of us know when I had no idea when I saw Sam that Sunday afternoon at my sister's house, that was the last time I was going to see him up and moving.
That's true.
But through writing the journey, I truly can say as a parent, I cherished all of those moments while Sam was here. And I think that also helps me to be able to navigate through what I'm going through every day. Cherish every moment, because we don't know.
We don't know. And I love the idea that God is such an amazing God that he gave you those special time together. Even those times that you was able to stay with him in the hospital, you have those memories as far as the draft that you spent time together. And that is such a priceless, memory. You can't pay. There's not enough money
to
get those back. And so, like you said, hold on to your memory, value your children, stop just existing in life and live. Understand that it's more to life than material things. Family is very important. Community is important. And I hope you guys follow Tracy. How do they find you on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that?
My name, Tracy Wilkerson, TRACYE. WILKERSON. No fancy hashtags. I'm just Tracy Wilkerson.
Okay, so follow her. Make sure you guys go to Eventbrite, register so she can be prepared. Go bowling. I might come, but I come to eat the chicken wings.
That's fine. Listen, a lot of them come just to spectate. It doesn't matter. We just want you in the building.
Okay.
That's it.
And so, put those dates on your calendar. Continue to support. Come out and support Tracy on her book signing. Thank you again for Tracy for saying yes to the platform, for sharing your story.
My pleasure.
I greatly appreciate your story, and congratulations on a #1 seller.
I know that's right.
Okay.
I know that's
And you
right.
guys,
From your mouth to God's ear.
Come on, God, do it. Thank you guys for being a part of Be True to You Talk Show and being my co-host. As you know, as of this month, we're going to only be coming to you once a month. I'm not for sure. Definitely once a month, if not 2 times a month, but definitely once a month. We will not be doing every Monday. And so with that being said, keep your notification bell on, follow our page, subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And just stay your ears close to the ground so that when we come, we have a special guest. If you want to be a guest, to inbox us, or I prefer you email us at BeTrueToYouTalkShow@yahoo.com. That's BeTrueToYouTalkShow@yahoo.com. Making sure that your story can help someone, that you've been through some things that you can overcome. Not just to promote, but to also share your story that can help somebody say, hey, if God did it for her, or if God did it for them, he can surely do it for me. And so with that being said, this is your girl, Angela, with Be True to You Talk Show, and everything you do, always be true to you. I love you and I mean it. Bye.